E aí galera do Pheeno, Thiago Araujo aqui. Hoje a gente está recebendo uma estrela internacional, temporada 2024 do Pheeno TV, RuPaul's Drag Race, Laganja Estranja. Welcome to Pink!
Yes! It's so good to be back.
Welcome to Pink Flamingo, welcome to Pheeno, welcome to Rio. You are here for your fourth time?
I think so.
Yes.
It's hard to remember with all the medication, you know?
I saw you on stage performing at Pink Flamingo's 5th anniversary,
Yes.
right? And you were telling the audience that you were supposed to be the first Who girl to ever come to Brazil. Can you tell us this story?
Yes, so I came to Brazil back in 2014 with a company known as Melange. They were putting on a fashion show. So I was just a person modeling in the show. And I was so excited because no Ru girl had ever been to Brazil. And I was like, I'm gonna be the first, I'm gonna be the first. And 2 weeks before I was supposed to be here, Juju came. She beat me by 2 weeks, but it was just the most amazing experience being immersed in the culture, the food. I just fell so in love with Rio in specific, but in Brazil, of course, all over. So it's so good to be returning to what I consider one of my homes.
That's amazing. So you are from RuPaul's Drag Race Season 6. The show in 2024 completed 15 years, of Drag Race extravaganza. How is it for you to be a part of this world and to be one of the most iconic queens from the show for so long?
Well, thank you for saying that. And it just feels very incredible, right? I feel so grateful. I've seen the world, and to be able to travel 10 years later from being on one TV show 8 times, it's just, it blows my mind that I still have such a platform and I'm able to use the mic each and every night to inspire other people to be themselves, to have fun, and of course to be fierce.
Before you went to Drag Race, how long have you been doing drag?
1 year.
Just 1 year?
Yes,
So
I was a
fresh
baby
comer,
queen.
Yes?
A baby queen.
You entered the show and it changed your whole life completely.
Like that, in 1 second. I mean, I went from working at nightclubs for very little money to traveling first class to Australia and Singapore and Brazil and all over the world, all from that television show. And my hard work.
And now, after all these years, RuPaul Drag Race has franchises all over the world. How did it change for you American girls that now you have sisters,
Right.
all different countries?
Well, I think that's also another blessing, to be able to go to almost any country in the world and have someone A, who knows what RuPaul's Drag Race is, and B, to have another franchise and have queens from that actual country be there with you, like we did at Pink Flamingo. I think it makes it that much more special, not only as a participant, but for the audience, right? To feel like they are really belonging in this group of sisterhood. I think that's so important, and I hope to see more and more franchise continue.
Every time I research about the biggest fandom of Drag Race in the world, it's always Brazil.
It's here.
In the first place. But it took so long for us to get our own franchise.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but we got our first Drag Race Brazil in 2023. Do you know the girls? Have you made connections? Are you friends with someone you like, someone you don't?
Yes, no, I definitely made friends specifically on this trip, which was so fun and so amazing to be able to have sisters, like I said, that have been on the same franchise. They've gone through the same thing that I went through. They understand the difficulty that a lot of times the audience doesn't see, right? Because you're seeing a highly edited, produced television show. Only someone who's really gone through the process can understand what it's like. So to be able to meet girls here that, relate and have been through it, it's so much more special to me.
It's amazing for us also because, like you said, before Drag Race you were working for such a little money, and now you can, make your living out of it. The girls here in Brazil need this platform also.
Absolutely, and deserve it.
The girls from season 1 are really doing it. They elevated their careers.
Yes.
I hope now that the Brazilian girls can come collaborate with you girls in the US.
Yes,
point, right?
Yes. I mean, I think it is taking a while for American nightclubs to book other international talent. I think, we've always seen, right, that other international places were booking us, but that hasn't really transferred over into America just yet because there is still an American franchise. There is now All Stars. There is all-stars where they're competing against one another. So I do think it is more difficult for the international queens to travel to us, but I know that that's changing, especially with other shows like Dragula and other things that are branching out. I think more and more individuals in America want to see international drag and are asking their promoters and their nightclubs to bring these girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were on season 6 and then you came back on All Stars, but just for a little participation, right?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Oh, y'all wanted a twist, eh? Oh. Come on, All Star 6. Let's get sixing. Oh.
That's all you needed.
That's all I needed. I jumped from the sky and the rest is herstory.
Yes, and then you did a physical lip sync.
Yes.
That you were telling me before we taped this interview that you've done like over 200 times.
200 times around the world. Needless to say, my poor knees, they are bruised, but they are so grateful again just to be able to bring that amount of joy to people. You know, it's when they hear that do 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 do, it's like people know what they're gonna get. And I think that's so incredible that I was able to leave a mark on not only the art form of drag, but on the entire world just as a performer, as an artist. I think that that speaks volumes to the creator that I am.
But you don't just lip sync. You have your own songs. How many singles have you released?
Oh my gosh, well I've basically released a single ever since I came out on RuPaul's Drag Race, so I think we're on like 8 or 9 songs at this point. But I am releasing my brand new single on April 20th, which 420, for those of you who don't know, that's the National Cannabis Day.
Yes.
So I'm very excited. I'm releasing daily basis with a new music video, and then hopefully my album will be coming out later this year. It's called Iconic. It will feature all the songs that I've already created and some new ones as well.
Amazing. You have been a vocal advocate pro cannabis, marijuana.
Yes.
And you know in Brazil it's still not a thing.
I do. Right.
In the US, not all states, or all states.
Nope, not all states yet. More and more as the years progress and as the stigma is, you know, changed, are becoming legal and recreational. But it's still a fight, you know. People still believe ultimately that it isn't a medicine, and they're just wrong. And that's why I've been such an outspoken activist about the plant and how it's helped me and changed my life.
You're from California, right?
Yes, where it's very legal.
It's very legal. Okay. I was asking you about your songs. You know that Brazil has many drag superstars. The singers like Pablo Vittar, Gloria Groove. You've met Pablo, right?
Yes, I've met Pablo. I've met Gloria Groove. I've met Drag Queen. Yes. I just met on this trip Chloe. So lots of singing drag sensations here in Brazil, which is again very inspiring to me as a drag artist who makes music. So it is my hope that maybe one day I can join that list.
So in the US, the Drag Race girls are not doing, I mean, this is the question because I don't know.
Yeah.
Do they go to mainstream radio with their singles? Is it like normal?
I would say probably Adore Delano from my season was the closest to really breaking that glass ceiling of going into mainstream pop. But so far, that really hasn't been achieved. I think Alaska has done amazing with her music as well. Jinx, I mean, there's plenty of girls who make incredible music and it's played in our nightclubs. But as far as going on, you know, American radio for the masses, we're not quite there yet. I do believe Trixie, actually, now that I'm thinking of it, is probably the closest because she broke a lot of charts and, you know, was really well known for her country music. Same with Bob. I think Bob also has broken the charts as well. So we're getting there. We're very close to having a drag superstar, pop star, but it's still mainly in the gay community.
Why do you think that is? You have such amazing talents.
I think that, you know, as much as drag has gone mainstream, there's still a lot of pushback, especially in America right now with legislation, and, you know, people are not really ready to fully accept who we are. I think a lot of people in pop culture think we're cool, but when it comes to those white, old, straight men who make the rules, there's still some pushback.
Some states even have banned drag from kids watching, right? There is a campaign saying like drag is not a crime. This sucks, right?
Yes.
Because drag is art, drag is entertainment. Drag is, you know, making people happy, and it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. Drag is makeup and wigs and dance, and, you know, I always say, as someone who grew up in musical theater, the next step is really drag, because drag is sort of the ultimate culmination of all the arts, right? So you're getting dancing and singing and acting combined with the wigs and the makeup and the styling. So to me, it's kind of like one of the most ultimate art forms we have because it really combines everything into one.
Would you go back to All Stars if they invited you?
Probably not. No. I've survived twice now, and I'm very happy with how I left the stage. I feel like I left my heart on the stage, but I also say never. I think maybe once I'm further along in my transition and feel more comfortable with my body and my own skin, it's something that I might consider. But as of right now, you know, I feel really fortunate. I'm here in Brazil without being a competitor on an All-Star season. So,
you know, but in 2024, you're gonna release the first Global All-Stars.
Yes.
And I think you are a Global All-Stars girl.
Thank you.
Maybe on season 2 of this international competition, would you consider?
I would absolutely consider it. I think if I was ever to go back, I would want to compete against international girls. I think that's much more interesting. And I also think a lot nicer. I think American girls are very fierce and can be quite shady, whereas I think international girls has more of a, at least in my experience, a sisterhood and a more friendly environment. So I definitely would consider it, but it's not at the top of my list right now.
Do you think we're gonna get a Brazilian-American girl at some point?
I hope so. I'm definitely waiting for that. I mean, I think it would only be right to do that. But I'm also looking for drag kings, you know? I would love to see drag kings on the show. I would love to see, you know, bio queens on the show. I think the more diversity we can get on that show, the better. Because that's how real change is created, by us leading the way and showing everyone that drag is truly for everyone. And you know, the show started as men who look like women, and that was a very sort of old archetype of drag. But I think now it's become accessible to anyone and everyone due to people like Lady Gaga, and I think that's beautiful. I think anyone, you know, should have the opportunity to put on a fierce pair of heels and wig and to get out there and feel their inner diva come alive.
You were saying that you are going to, maybe you would consider being on an All-Stars, on a Global All-Stars, after you feel more comfortable with your transition.
Yeah.
So you came out as a trans woman in 2021.
I think so, yeah. I think, was it 21? Yeah, because Corona was 2020, so yeah, 21. Gosh, it's flying by so quick, I can't believe it.
So how was it for you?
You know, it's come with a lot of complications, but it's also come with a lot of beautiful moments in my life. I think it's something that I will continue to work on until the day I die, to fully embrace who I am. You know, I grew up in Dallas, Texas, never was, you know, exposed to someone who was trans. It wasn't really until RuPaul's Drag Race that I began to understand what being trans was, and that I was able to finally put a word on what I had felt for so long. So there's a lot of unpacking to do. There's a lot of things that I still have to make peace with. But I'm very grateful that I was able to come out and to do it so publicly and to show other people that there's no one right way to be trans. You know, a lot of people always ask me like, oh, well, you're trans, why haven't you had surgery? And I'll be honest, in the beginning, you know, surgery wasn't something I was even considering. Now it is. Now that I'm further in my transition, I've been on hormone replacement therapy for 2 years. I'm much more interested in developing my body to look more of how I feel. But again, I wanted to be that inspiration for people out there, because I think a lot of times when we think of trans women, it's like, you know, they go away for 6 months, they come back, they're beautiful, they're perfect, and I don't think that that's really the true trans story of most individuals. And so I wanted to be a representation of that. And while it's been amazing to do that, putting the spotlight on my transition so publicly, of course, has come, you know, with criticism, and it has been difficult. But overall, I am very grateful that I decided to come out and to be public and to accept who I am, because I think that's what we're all striving in our life for, right? To just accept who we are, to love who we are. I mean, that's what RuPaul teaches us at the end of each and every episode. He says, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love someone else? And as someone who's said that for years and years and was really kind of lying to myself about that, it feels really good to be telling the truth, even if that comes with difficulties.
So now that we have Drag Race Brazil, and now that you're almost a Rio girl, because you've been here so many times, and I hope you keep coming back a lot. How much you love Brazil that you would say to your friends in the US, like, we're amazing or we're not? Yeah,
well, you know, for many, many years, Brazil was my #1 place in the world to travel to. It's number two, but now, but I always tell them that, you know, look, if you can travel anywhere in the world, I say go to Thailand and go to Brazil. It's that simple. It's just the food, the people, the culture, the whole energy here. You know, I think what really separates, you know, Brazil for me is the passion. I think I like Thailand because it's cheap. I'll be honest. You know, Brazil, you know,
beautiful also, right?
It is beautiful, but Rio is expensive, okay? And I like when things are, you know, cheap. So that's probably what really differentiates the two for me. But the passion here, it's what brings me back every time and what makes me feel so connected to the people. I consider myself to be a very passionate person as well. So when I'm here, I don't feel weird for the fact that I cry or that I kiss or that I love so fiercely, because I think that's how you all are.
That's amazing. I love to hear the impressions of foreigners, but who love Brazil about us. You know?
Like I remember the first time I came here and, you know, I was meeting people and, you know, I saw these two people kiss and I was like, oh, how long have you known each other? And they were like, oh, we just met. And you know, in America, it's like we have our own bubbles. We would never approach on each other's space like that. And so I loved that aspect about the city, about the culture, that, you know, it's very connected physically. I feel that deeply within my soul as a person, as an artist. And so it's so nice to see that reflected in a culture where you're not afraid to hold each other, to love each other, to really be connected on a deeper and more physical level.
Laganja, I want to thank you so much for being here with us. You're the first international girl to be with us at Pheeno.
Yay! I love that. See, I wasn't the first in Rio, but I'm the first here.
Yes, you're the first here. Yes. So we wish you to come back a lot.
Yes, me too.
I know you have a home in Rio, which is
Flamingo.
Flamingo.
That's right.
And I hope to see you in LA also.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yes, you've got a friend in me for life. I love you guys so much. Obrigada.
Obrigado.
Yeah.
Obrigado. Beijos.